A 700-ton steel train is moving at 200 miles per hour. It hits a curve. The passengers don't grip their seats. Nobody's drink moves. A child in the third car keeps sleeping. This is not a magic trick. This is not a lucky design. This is the result of one of the most brutally engineered systems ever built. A machine that solved a problem physics said could not be solved at this speed. Because here is what physics actually demands at 200 miles per hour. Centrifugal force shoves the train outward. Aerodynamic lift tries to peel it off the rail. Resonant vibration builds inside the steel frame until it wants to shake itself apart. Any one of those forces, unchecked, ends in all three at once. That is the Shinkansen's daily operating reality. 420,000 passengers, every single day. 0 fatal derailments in 60 years of operation. That number should not exist. Before 1964, Japan's rail network ran on the same gauge, the distance between the two rails that the country had used since the 1800s. Narrow, inherited, unquestioned, and for slow trains, it worked. But the engineers who designed the Shinkansen ran the numbers. At sustained high speeds, the narrow gauge didn't just underperform, a physics trap. The center of gravity was too high. The cornering forces were too large. Patches and modifications would not save it. They made a decision that now looks either visionary or insane. They scrapped the gauge entirely. They built a new, wider, dedicated track, incompatible with every other train in the country. Not an upgrade, a severance. A complete architectural restart, forced by physics and funded by a nation that had just rebuilt itself from rubble and needed proof it could compete with the world. This was 1964. The whole world was watching. Failure was not a technical problem. Failure was a national one. The margin for error was functionally 0. A single derailment at speed kills hundreds. It halts a national rail network. It triggers billions of dollars in liability. It can collapse public trust in a transit system for a generation. They understood the stakes, so they solved the physics instead. Think of a violin string. Before the bow ever touches it, the string must be tuned to an exact tension. Not close, exact. The instrument doesn't perform until the foundation is perfect. The Shinkansen track is that string. Every curve on the network is banked, tilted inward, angled toward the center of the turn. Engineers call it cant. It redirects the force pushing the train outward and transfers it downward into the rail. The curve itself becomes part of the braking system, but the track alone isn't enough. Underneath each passenger car sits a bogie, a wheeled carriage that connects the cabin to the rail. On a Shinkansen, these bogies are active. Sensors read the track geometry ahead in real time. Hydraulic systems respond. The entire cabin tilts into the curve, the same instinct a motorcycle rider uses when banking through a turn. 16 connected cars, each one tilting independently. Each one reading the same curve and responding within milliseconds. Precision, coordination, survival. And the nose, that long sculpted beak, isn't aesthetic. It manages air pressure. At 200 miles per hour, when a train enters a tunnel, it creates a compression wave powerful enough to rattle windows and buildings. The nose shapes and displaces that wave before it builds. Aerodynamic lift neutralized. Here's where the assumption breaks. Most people believe the bullet train stays on the rails because of what the train does. They're wrong. The real reason the Shinkansen does not derail is the track. Every night after the last train clears the line, automated inspection vehicles move through the network in the dark. They carry sensors that survey the rail position down to a few millimeters. If a section has shifted from temperature expansion, from soil movement, or from the accumulated vibration of 400,000 daily passengers, a maintenance crew corrects it before dawn. The ground underneath the train is effectively rebuilt every 24 hours. This is not cheap. The maintenance cost of Shinkansen track dwarfs the operating cost of the trains themselves. But here's the catch. A single derailment costs more than a decade of that preventive maintenance. The economics are not generous. They are ruthless. Japanese rail law enforces full incident accountability. There is no regulatory gray zone. Safety investment is not optional. It is legally mandated and culturally non-negotiable. Safety is enforced. The train is not safe because the engineering is clever. The train is safe because the system surrounding it refuses to let it fail. Step back further. The Shinkansen connects Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka, 320 miles of corridor. Without high-speed rail, these are separate cities with separate economies. With it, they become one interconnected zone. Workers commute between them. Capital moves between them. Supply chains thread through them daily. Interconnected is the result. Japan's bullet train did not just solve a physics problem. It compressed geography. It turned physics closer to irrelevance, and in doing so, quietly underwrote one of the largest economic integrations in modern history. Every country, now building high-speed rail, China, France, Morocco, and the United States, is attempting the same compression. They are buying the same answer to the same villain. A 700-ton train, gripping a rail, tuned like a string, banking through a curve at 200 miles per hour. Nobody's drink moves. That is not luck. That is 60 years of refusing to let physics win.